you first worked with him, 16 Candles, and that was something like your third movie and his first as a director.
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys were both pretty new. I'm wondering what your impressions of him were right out of the gate on that project.
Oh, it was great, because this was a time when you could cast for just the right casting, and you didn't have to have, you know, this star meter kind of actor for foreign and all that. So we just worked so well together. John and I were on the same page from day one, and I had known him when I was like an associate on another movie that he had written a script. So when he came to Universal, the first thing he said is, I want Jackie to do it. Wow. And we just clicked. It's just, we started in L.A., we went to New York, we got it cast fairly quickly, and just never, ever had, you know, we just agreed a lot. And he gave me complete freedom to do what I want to do, which is the way I like to work.
Well, tell me about his. Tell me why you think the two of you clicked. Tell me a little bit about who John Hughes was as a colleague and as a friend.
When John Hughes started, he was this Midwestern, sweet guy that just was, you know, open, brilliant with music, knew how to pick, you know, the soundtracks, you know, just a very intelligent guy, and the scripts were fabulous. So to start with 16 Candles, you know, it was so realistic, and since then I've named my daughter Sam.
Oh, wow.
But I also did that up for the Bewitched, but it was funny that she was Sam in that.
Yeah.
He was just very open and just fun. We just had a great time in 16 Candles.
Yeah. And in terms of his writing, because he was a very prolific writer, and as I understand it, a very fast writer, too.
Yes, very fast.
When you read a 16 Candles or a Breakfast Club, what were your impressions of those scripts, and what was his unique voice? How would you describe it?
I would say his unique voice is he was so realistic about kids. It's like every kid could relate to what the girl Sam was going through, and Breakfast Club had a whole nother level, which is high school, which is a tough time in kids' life. Mm-hmm. And he just had the voice, and no one has matched him since. No one has made kids as realistic and you know, really showing what they go through since John. I mean, John, in Breakfast Club, you knew you were reading something. You know, it had a lot more depth than, say, 16 Candles, but 16 Candles had its own charm.
Mm-hmm. But did they feel like they could be as influential as they became, these kind of watershed projects?
I think until you saw it alive, I mean, there were so many things that fell into place on Breakfast Club. The casting, the Dee Allen doing that, Annie Leibovitz doing the picture. It was like everything kind of fell in, and John, you know, he did a great job on 16 Candles. And so then Breakfast Club, he was, you know, even more experienced, and it just, you know, paid off. And he had Miss Hannon as a producer who was so supportive, and, you know, and 16 Candles, like, we all were in agreement. Like, it was interesting, the casting process, how Getty came in to me, and he pretended he didn't speak English. I found the girl, Beth, who played his girlfriend way out in New Jersey, because I went to a play to see that and found her. So it's very interesting how it all fell into place. Well, and Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, that's just it, because one of the big influences he had on the industry, obviously with your assistance, is he introduced so many new talents to film, to the medium.
Yeah.
You both were so tremendously perceptive and influential in your eye for new talent, and I'm curious your conversations with him about what he was looking for. What kind of directions did he give you? And he
didn't really. John let me just go, and that's the way I work. I'm someone who likes to see everybody, and I scour the talent. And I mean, I found that one kid who played the geek in a movie theater. He really wasn't an actor, but you've never seen a face more geek. You know what I mean? And he always thanks me for paying for his college education. Wish someone would have done that for my kids. Yeah. But, you know, he just let me have that kind of freedom. He didn't tell me, we just went forward, He wrote it for Molly, so we knew we had Molly. And I found a lot of the cast in New York, Blanche Baker and Michael Schofling, and, and I fight for my actors. Like Michael Schofling, they thought was a little, quiet. And I said, oh, he was at the dentist. He's just low-key because of that. But he was really shy, and he was a model, and it wasn't like he was used to this whole process. But I knew he had it in him, and he also was a different look than what you would think, that the way they always cast those pretty boys. He was really interesting looking.
Yeah. Was he looking for not the obvious in the talent that you guys chose?
I don't really remember ever having those discussions. I just started casting and just started bringing in people. And it's kind of how I've always worked. I've always given enough variety that, unless someone says it has to be a black person, I've always just gone out and tried to do different things. Mm-hmm. But, 16 Candles was, and it's funny because I didn't have kids then, but it was just that I just found it very easy to relate to each one of the characters, and I love doing the grandparents because everyone and their mother came in for that. But we didn't have to have like a big star. We could go with Carol Cook and Billy Bird and people and Paul Dooley. It wasn't like you had to have, the way they cast today for foreign markets.
Yeah. When you observed him, as I would imagine you did, working with actors.
Wonderful.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, he was just so easy and down to earth, and everybody liked working with him, and he just knew how to relate to kids. Like, if you had seen Anthony Michael Hall when he came in for his reading, he was against Eric Gurry, and that was the hot kid at the time. Eric Gurry, he had done an Al Pacino movie. He came in, and he was real, like, out there and, so obviously funny. And Michael Hall was very shy, and I kept saying, no, it's Michael. There's something about Michael. Well, there was magic between John and Michael. It's like when those two, I don't know if they were like, alter egos of each other, because when they got to work on the set, you saw the real Michael. You didn't see it necessarily in the reading. Yeah. But, John had known him from one of the Lampoon movies, but it wasn't 100% guaranteed that it was going to be Michael. But then when they finally came around, because I kept saying, he's quiet, he's shy, he's got that sweetness, it's not so out there, Anyway, they went with him, and it was history after that, but it was a lot what developed between John and Michael.
This is a mother... It's a Rolls Royce, Jake.
So?
I heard the grill alone cost $5,000 this. $5,000. Do you have $5,000? I don't have $5,000.
Then don't hit anything.
Oh, don't hit anything.
He's magical in those movies, Anthony Michael Hall. Just
that was him and John. It was their relationship. It just brought out the best in both of them.
Well, I think this of someone like Spielberg too. There seems to be a part of them that is so in tune with their inner child. Would that be true of John too, would you say?
Yeah, and I think John probably when he was younger probably was the geeky kid, so I think he could relate. I think he came from a place where he understood these kids. And first of all, I am so sorry about this. This is so sad to me, and I feel so bad for his wife and his kids who now have kids. See, when I knew them, they were little kids.
When I read about his life, after his passing, that was something that was particularly moving to me. He was married to his high school sweetheart for 39 years, and it's and he in a farm, which I didn't even know that. See, I knew he was he became like a recluse, is what everyone kept saying. That he just stayed in Chicago, and I guess he penned some scripts under a different name, but he really didn't seem to want to be in the movie business anymore. Which is heartbreaking because he had a voice that no one has matched. I don't think there's ever been a kid movie that's been anywhere near what Breakfast Club was. And kids watch that movie today, and they still get it. They're still engaged by it. And obviously, when I was a teenager, which was during the period of time when he made movies, I can go back and watch those movies and be very involved and invested in them as well.
Oh, yeah. People, I think, really, like, sometimes they'll come up to me and they'll pretend they're bowing because I think it struck such a chord in kids that, you know, if they were hurting, I don't think they were hurting as much after the Breakfast Club because I think they saw that this is what other kids go through. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone had ever done that really before. And I think with Molly, it's that you know, the 16 Candles, the first crush, the girl, not the pretty girl to get a boy like that, and I think it just struck a chord with people so that kids could relate to that, you know.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's always it's tits and ass, or it's the prettiest with the prettiest, and it just it doesn't have the depth. And John was great with adding music too. His music choices were amazing.
He was, yeah. That was another great point of influence that he had. Just terrific instincts. Yeah. And since this was so early in both of your careers, and obviously you're extremely successful in what you do, and you've done so many terrific movies, how did your experience with him influence you, and what did you learn from that?
Well, you know, it's a rare treat when you get a director who absolutely treats you like a comrade. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where he listens to what you have to say. He and you kind of like are on the same wavelength. He wasn't worried about anything as far as, you know, oh, that's not a big enough name or this. He was just he went for talent. He appreciated talent, you know, and so, you know, you have those experiences with other people and some you don't. And John, you know, John did his homework, so it was good. He was very, very open guy, and it's just sad.
Yeah, it's a loss. It's a terrific
very
loss.
Young, just so young. I mean, even Weird Science, as you know, different as that was a fun movie because it was giving the boys, the geeks, the time of their life to get back, to have some power. They all get power later on when they grow up, but in high school, it's a very painful time most of the time for the kids that are really smart.
I thought movies like Weird Science and Ferris Bueller, I remember watching those films when they came out. I thought they were the coolest films ever made.
I know. That was cool. Because you know why? Ferris Bueller worked so well, too, because the kid was intelligent. He was smart enough to, like, fool the system, but not in a bad way. Not, you know what I mean? Not where he was hurting anyone, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was fun. And, you know, John was good at that.
I'm not sure how old your children are, but has Mr. Hughes' movies meant something in their lives to them?
Yeah, this is what it meant to them. I got an autograph of The Breakfast Club. I have the original one, and I signed it thinking that would mean they go, Mom, you ruined it now. They didn't want to sell it because I put my name on it. So that's, you know, but they do. They love the movies, and I know they're proud when they tell their friends and stuff, so it's nice.